morning and welcome to the One Startup World 2023 Summer Conference. This is the premier global startup conference dedicated to helping innovative and disruptive startup companies succeed. It's the perfect platform for startup founders to pitch their ideas, to gain valuable insights, connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs, industry experts, partners, potential investors, and the opportunity to learn from the best in the business. My name is John Pennant. I lead the technology and life sciences industry practice at Eisner-Amper, and we are pleased to be able to participate in this conference. It is my pleasure to introduce our first presenter of the morning, a company called Share, and presenting for the company, I'd like to introduce Dr. Andrea Pusic. Andrea, please take it away.
Thanks very much, John. It's really a pleasure to be here with you. So I'm Dr. Andrea Pusic. I'm a professor of plastic surgery at Harvard University and chief of plastic and reconstructive surgery. And I'm here with Dr. Raj Vyas, who is also a professor of surgery at the University of California at Irvine School of Medicine. And together, I am the co-founder and co-director of the SHARE program, which is a nonprofit program of the Plastic Surgery Foundation. And also here with Jean Polciado, who was a trustee of the American Society of Plastic Surgeons. And Jean will be speaking about a program that we have established called SHARE for Surgeons and Humanitarian Alliance for Reconstruction Research and Education. And just very briefly, what we feel SHARE does has the potential to solve a tremendous global problem, which is that in many areas of the world, low and middle income countries, people suffer tremendous disability from trauma, burns, congenital anomalies, and their conditions are not treated because of the stark lack, the incredible, tremendous lack of plastic surgery care, reconstructive surgical care. And we feel that the SHARE program provides a very exciting opportunity to address that issue. Jean, I'll hand it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Pusic. And thank you, Dr. Vyas, who's joining us from California this morning, early this morning. I'm going to go through some quick slides. Just to clarify, we're a little bit unique. This is a nonprofit organization, but many elements of it, I think, will resonate with startup founders and investors as we get into this quick presentation. Let me make sure I can move through the slides here, which for some reason is not happening. Hang on a sec. There we go. So the introduction that Dr. Pusic provided really is best seen, unfortunately, in this sad picture. There are, in sub-Saharan Africa, where we've launched this program, you know, the kinds of injuries, burns, trauma injuries, and craniofacial anomalies like cleft palate that are left untreated and cause literally lifelong problems for the people who suffer from these conditions. As you'll continue to see here, there was a particular case, and again, it highlights some of the things that most of us just never even have to really think about. But in many sub-Saharan countries and in many parts of the world, including Southeast Asia and other emerging markets, there are a lot of scenarios, just lifestyle scenarios, that create tremendous problems. Here's Lucy, whom I believe was Rwanda, Dr. Pusic. Essentially what happens is parents go off to work, and there's a very common practice of boiling water. And in this case, Lucy, unfortunately, like many children, pulled down the water, and it literally burned her and fused her right arm, and as you can see there, to a portion of her torso. The reconstructive surgery that this program is about educating local African surgeons to perform these types of specialized procedures. Here she is leaving the hospital after a relatively straightforward operation that could occur in the United States, but where there's little training and little medical staff and surgeons in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, where this type of skill is available. You can see the smile on her father's face and hers. So the initial program has been targeted at sub-Saharan Africa. I will say this, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, some 12,000 board certified plastic and reconstructive surgeons around the world, really have done this in a sweat equity way, to use another venture term. These top doctors we've met today on the call, and there are hundreds of others, have done this all on their own and built a curriculum to address this alarming lack of access to care. So just to give you a sense, the numbers are quite astounding. You have countries in sub-Saharan Africa where there are literally a handful of plastic and reconstructive surgeons for tens of millions of people. Here, Malawi, 3 plastic surgeons for 20 million people. Mozambique, 32 million people, 3 plastic surgeons in the country. Zambia, 20 million people, 1 plastic surgeon. Rwanda, 13 million population, 2 plastic surgeons. It just goes on, and the numbers are, when I saw them, were just amazing. Burundi, 13 million people, there are none. And South Sudan, with 45 million people, literally have no certified plastic and reconstructive surgeons. So that's the problem. The solution that these, in my opinion, courageous and amazing doctors have come up with, led by Dr. Pusic and Dr. Andrea Gossman, who's at UCal San Diego, was to come up with a new business model, as I put it. The traditional business model for taking care of situations like this are some very fine organizations, and even the surgeons at the American Society of Plastic Surgery still do this, is what's known as the mission model, where doctors fly in for a week or 2 or 3 and perform various surgeons, many cases on children, whether it's cleft palate surgery, whether it's due to burns, trauma, but there's a limit to how many surgeons or surgeries they can do. And in many cases, there needs to be follow-up, which is difficult to achieve, even in this era of Zoom. So that's the way some level of care has reached some of these regions. But the new model and really the mission behind this new model is to increase access and increase the number of in-country plastic surgeons, reconstructive surgeons in low and middle income countries to improve lives. The key differentiator here is we believe this is a multiplier effect, scalable model that is really training doctors in Africa so that they can train others. So train the trainer, and at the same time leveraging the resources and frankly the knowledge and the time of these great plastic surgeons. You've heard their backgrounds. So the American Society of Plastic Surgeons is a nonprofit based in Chicago, in the United States. The Plastic Surgery Foundation is a 501c3 foundation through which we've, on a shoestring, funded this program so far. The results, sort of the proof of concept, as I say, is that just before COVID, the first 16 global plastic surgery fellows from sub-Saharan Africa were admitted to the first inaugural class for the SHARE program in 2022. They graduated, and we can certainly send any interested people as follow-ups a great video that we don't have time to show now that has their testimonials. They're virtually all in the same countries you saw on the previous slide. Basically, now at least increasing the number by, a handful in each country. There's a new cohort that just started in 2023 of 30 new SHARE fellows, again, from sub-Saharan Africa. And the idea here is that they go through a 2-year plastic surgery curriculum. It's done virtually and in person. Dr. Pusic travels to Africa many times a year to participate in some of the training. And the silver lining of COVID is a lot of the training was able to be done over Zoom and other video conferencing techniques to literally train people in microsurgery. I should say, people hear plastic surgery and they immediately think in the United States of, Botox and other aesthetics applications. Here we're really talking about reconstructive surgery, which is a major element of what plastic surgery is, and microsurgery, which all of these doctors have specialized in. I know Dr. Vyas in particular performs a lot of this and teaches a lot of it. That's the kind of thing that can repair arteries and veins and in many cases save limbs, if not lives. So it's really an important thing. The program is also focused on research because especially now with the advent of AI, everyone knows the value of data. And what we want to do is encourage some of the graduates of this program to also engage in research so that we can better understand what the needs are. And so as part of this SHARE program, there's been 5 pilot research grants established in sub-Saharan Africa. So, what do we want to do? We want to scale eventually to other regions around the world, but essentially we want to increase as quickly as possible the number of people we can include in this curriculum. Now that the curriculum has been so successfully established, the question is, how do we help finance getting more doctors through this? We recently presented at the World Bank spring meetings, and one of the things that came from that was the Tanzanian government is now asking if we can help them establish this program in hospitals across that country, which again has very few reconstructive certified surgeons. The research network and infrastructure I mentioned, and really ultimately the idea is don't give a person a fish, give them a fishing rod and teach them how to fish. The idea is to establish a network of in-country surgeons who can then train other surgeons and create centers of excellence for reconstructive surgery in many of these African countries. So how can you help? We're not a for-profit startup, but we're a new business model, a new business, if you will, that's nonprofit trying to change the lives of millions. I think the ROI on this program for anyone who donates is almost incalculable, because ultimately millions of lives will be changed here. So that's sort of our pitch. Where am I here? Whoops. We're seeking $5 million over 5 years. We're starting small. We're working sort of tirelessly for with lots of different people in the United States, but we would welcome conversations. I'm a former partner of Warburg Pincus here in New York, and I've made it my mission to try to help these doctors build this program to much larger scale. It is a scalable business model, which again is a concept that I know venture capital people and entrepreneurs and investors, like many of you on this presentation, can relate to. So that's it. We're going to open it up for some Q&A. I'm going to let the doctors add anything I may have missed. So John, any questions?
Yeah, tremendous presentation there, and a great mission. And certainly we wish you nothing but success in being able to achieve your mission, because it sounds like it's something that's really valuable. And hopefully you can repeat that in many countries and other parts, in other regions around the world. So best of luck with that process for sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit about how people can help. Is this something that like companies can help as well? So maybe companies that are in the surgical suite, perhaps, like how could they help? I like the idea of, train the trainer programs. Those are always very positive, but how can companies get involved and help?
Great question. The short answer is yes. We, as you're getting at, beyond some of the money, working capital, if you will, to finance, some of the doctors' travel and some of the fellows' travel, because they do come to the United States for some portion of the training. Dr. Pusic, maybe you can give a sense of where you've seen some needs on the corporate side.
Absolutely. On the corporate side, I think, one thing to point out is that these young surgeons that we are engaged with, that we're teaching and training, they are the future leaders, and they're going to be the knowledge experts in reconstructive surgery in these regions. So Jean made the comment about the emerging markets. Reconstructive surgery and plastic surgery is not well represented, as Jean has pointed out, in these low and middle income countries, and we are here to change that. And the group of people that we're working with are those future leaders. And the reason I say it is that for companies that work in this space, these relationships with fellows and with these emerging leaders, I think could be potentially very valuable. So right now, we would be delighted to work with any companies that are working in the space of reconstructive surgery that would be able to provide support, but also the opportunity for them to interact with these future leaders in these countries where they previously may not have had any opportunities to connect with thought leaders in reconstructive surgery.
Yeah, terrific. That's great. And then how could maybe individual people be able to help as well? So I don't know whether you've started sort of a campaign to raise money, obviously raise awareness and things like that. What is sort of your plan to engage individuals?
Well, we're really just getting started, but certainly any cash or appreciated security donations are welcomed into the 501c3 foundation, Plastic Surgery Foundation, which you can find online. There is a tab for this share program where you can see some of the graduates, and there's plenty of information about how to make a donation, and we welcome that. And to the extent someone were interested and want to have a further conversation, I'm happy to do it. So I think perhaps my email will be made available, and I'm happy to talk to anyone who has thoughts about how to help.
And then my sort of final question was just in terms of awareness. Have you started on sort of a social media campaign to kind of build awareness and get the celebrity endorser and all that kind of promoter
Yeah.
type of thing?
Yeah, well, we've had some pretty interesting conversations about that. We do have a LinkedIn presence for both the society and the foundation. It supports many programs, but SHARE is one of the more prominent ones. We need to do some more of that. So if anybody's got ideas or resources in that area, we'd welcome that as well. And then if I could just ask Dr. Bias to say a few words about his perspective on the program. Maybe that's a good way to close it out. Dr. Bias?
Yes, thank you so much. I just wanted to echo something that Dr. Pusic said, which is, as we all know, Africa is the emerging market for the world, incredible exponential growth in population and services in the next 20 years or so. It's expected to become the largest population center and growth center in the world. And for companies that are in the space of reconstructive plastic surgery, something that we've all learned participating in this program is just the immense lack of materials and equipment and technology infrastructure that is needed to really build state-of-the-art services. So for example, we all take for granted here that if we're trying to do reconstruction, we have access to microscopes to do microsurgery or tissue expanders to grow tissue that we need to transfer to help reconstruct patients, certain suture materials and other basic things that are really sort of just the bread and butter of what we do. And these materials or biologics, there's been a revolution in biologics in the last 2 decades in plastic surgery. So cadaveric tissues, for example, that have really made the work we do so much more predictable and safer and better. And these things are just missing. And we've encouraged our global fellows to really study these problems through the research arm of SHARE, which is a critically important part of it. But also, we really would think that companies who produce these products or could help develop them could find an ability to share them now with an ROI on their investment, like as Dr. Pusic said, where they would become the leaders in these emerging markets with these technologies as the countries become self-sustainable and able to pay for them.
Terrific. Well, thank you again for presenting. I'm sure the audience will enjoy learning about the story, and we wish you nothing but success in helping to roll your programs out there and provide services to folks who really need the help and support. So, thank you very much.
And thank you for anyone watching this video. We really appreciate any help, and don't hesitate to reach out. So thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks, John.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye now.